All right. We are back with another episode of Real Game Talk. This is actually a first for all of us. This is the first time we're in the studio. This is the first time we're having a guest. Again, this is a big one for us. This is one we've been anticipating over the last few weeks. Again, I'm the host, Will. We are in the middle of April. We're recording this on the NFL Draft Day Eve, but we got a special guest that just ended basketball season again. This is me, Will, my co-host, Matt. Matt, what's good with you today?
Man, same old, man. Nothing different.
All right.
Different day. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. Well, a lot of y'all don't know, and I normally don't really even say it, but I am from El Dorado, Arkansas. Matt is from Oak Cliff out here in Dallas. Today, we bringing in a guest who is bringing in the best of both worlds right now. A person that is representing El Dorado, Arkansas, and also a person that is representing Dallas right now. Our guest today is the 2017 Mr. Basketball of Arkansas. We also have him as being 2019 First Team All-SEC out of Arkansas, a former Arkansas Razorback, but a current Dallas Maverick. We have our guest, Daniel Gafford here.
What up? How we doing?
What's good, my man? How are you today?
Man, I'm good. I can't complain.
I appreciate you taking the time and stopping in with us, my man, doing what you do out your busy schedule. Ending the season, which was just a few days on Friday. Mm-hmm. And, of course, all of us ended up watching it. That was an unfortunate ending to the play-in. We was hoping the Mavs was going to sneak in there as we was rooting for you guys over the last few weeks. But it didn't happen. And we're gonna take all of us are taking it on the chin right now. I should say my son taking it on the chin. Matt been taking it on the chin for the last few weeks as he been trying to get him in, and I guess the city right now is digesting that season, and we look forward to the next season. But we'll go ahead and sit down with you, discuss some things with you, get some topics on you. We'll go from there. And so. Like I said, most of you guys don't know, we both represent El Dorado, Arkansas. One of the things that I can say, and I do share with you, is I was able to also put on the El Dorado Wildcat jersey. That purple and white just do something to me. And it come with a lot of pride.
No, for sure.
So since you graduated, I'll ask you, and you can give me how you feel about it. Since you graduated, I can honestly say I haven't kept up with them.
Yeah.
As much as I should. I know when you and Zar were there, that was probably the last time I've actually been to a game. Maybe one more. I went to, where did I go? I can't remember the last game, but I attended one of the games. It was, I want to say, no, it was Coach Harshaw's retirement. That was the last one I went to.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Okay, so that was the last one I went to, and we attended that, but I attended a lot of your games, and I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about where basketball is in El Dorado right now, and then the overall state of the program?
When it comes to just like the basketball side of the question, I feel like it's in a good spot. You know, I feel like it's a lot of people still keeping, the aura of basketball alive in El Dorado. I'm still in the group chat with a couple of guys that, of course, like I grew up with, came up with through high school, so on and so forth. Just playing every day, going to James Johnson, playing in the high school arena when everybody was telling us we couldn't play in there, all that crazy stuff. But yeah, I feel like, the atmosphere around basketball is always going to stick with El Dorado because that's one of the things that a lot of people in El Dorado always knew.
Okay. I got
day
you.
in, day out. And then just with the program, for sure. With me, I haven't really paid attention too much. I know this recent year, I think they was close to state or went to state.
They went to state.
I bought a couple of shirts. Still need to get those shirts
whenever
I get down there. But yeah, that was the last time that I actually heard about anything. I really didn't keep up with them too much ever since my youngest brother left. So they kind of, throw me in there every now and then. Let me see what the program is like, all that stuff.
Okay, I got you. They did make state this year. I want to say it was their first time
Yeah.
since 2019,
Yeah.
2020. And I was proud of them for doing that. So,
Oh, yeah, of
like I said,
course.
it had been a while since I paid attention. I want to say you played for Simmons.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay. I ended up playing for Blackburn. You got any?
Yeah, my brother played for Blackburn.
Yeah, me and him both. We both played with Blackburn. Blackburn's still
Yes,
my guy.
sir.
He still texts me. So shout out to Coach Blackburn because
Yes,
I
sir.
know he definitely still texts me and still asks questions about Dorado basketball. So
That's what's up.
shout out to him for
That's
sure.
what's up.
With that being said, too, I always wanted to ask because I mean, what am I, 37? You 26?
Yeah.
All right, that's 10-year difference. Okay, so I grew up in the West.
Yeah.
Played in the park behind Chickadilly.
Yeah.
You also last year in the playoffs you put on for Haganea. And then Matt and myself here from here being out here, he always represents Oak Cliff, which is some of the I would say the West, Haganea, Oak Cliff would be considered some of the hardest areas to grow up in both cities, I should say.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, yeah, that's tough, man. And when you growing up especially when you come from the hood, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure you can relate. You have different options outside of the sport that you're in that can kind of push you another way. And I remember coming up, I used to always hear about statistics about people not making it due to, I used to always think it was due to talent. It was never broken down that you're going to have obstacles that come up during your course of trying to reach your dream. I just want to know how you was able to navigate that. Did you have any trouble, coming up that at some point people start respecting your journey and what your dreams were they kind of backed off? Or, did you have to get a little bit more involved at some point and,
I think with me, when it came to, of course, just like for sure me fully locking in, of course it was my mom, you know, trying to be a kid, trying to be hard-headed. I used to always want to go do the wrong thing. And Teresa Frazier don't go.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? Anytime that I wanted to kind of like do something that I feel like she sensed that wasn't going to be the right thing for me to do, she always stepped in and kind of like readjusted my mindset on a lot of stuff. Okay. So when it came to her, my pops, they kept me in line with that. And then as I was getting older, my oldest brother, he graduated. Now I'm somewhat of the man of the house at the time. We stayed in Haganil.
Gotcha.
And just trying to figure a lot of stuff out. Then it's like when I, of course, first started like actually playing ball, got to my 9th grade year, that's when I fully locked into it. That's when I really fell in love with the game. Okay. And so they were explaining to me, some of the things that I was capable of doing, some of the things that I could have done, some of the things that I can do, for my family at the time. When I was in 8th grade, I officially fully started hooping in 8th grade, played AAU and stuff a little bit before, but I had 2 left feet. I wasn't the best.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? I had to, of course, wear hooping shoes, size too small. So that was a challenge for me. It was a lot of stuff that, I was slowly getting over, trying to kind of build a mindset to really just kind of mature, to put myself in a position to where it's to have fun with the game, of course, but at the same time get to where I wanted to be.
I got you.
For sure. So 9th grade year, that's when I fully locked in. I was like, okay, it's go time. Want to be out of this situation. How we gonna get out of this situation? That's the question I always ask myself.
I got you. And I can respect that. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm a little jealous of you and Czar, man, because y'all was the first ones to come through there and play as freshmen. Before that, they weren't letting freshmen get on their varsity team at all, man. You had
for real?
Yeah, we had to stick it out. Like if you did 9th grade,
man, that's
it
crazy.
was 9th grade. It wasn't. You ain't touch varsity until you was 10th grade for sure. Like it wasn't. You didn't even have a question. So when I first heard about you and Czar coming in and playing, it was because y'all had got on varsity in the 9th grade, and so I was like, I gotta come home and see this.
Yeah.
And at that time, I want to say I had just moved to Texas, or I might have still been living in Oklahoma. And I remember catching you guys that year. I came back and caught you guys in the Classic against Junction that year.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, okay, this is nice. And so I kept coming in those games. And that atmosphere was the first time I done seen the atmosphere back when I was playing. So like I said, that it's a little jealousy, but I'm proud of the way y'all was putting on. I swear I was good enough to play varsity in
Yeah,
that grade.
man. I remember like old El Dorado games for sure.
Gotcha.
And playing with, the guys that I played with, it always reminded me of that atmosphere.
Okay.
100%. Especially when I was a young kid. I used to always want to go to the games. Was never able to.
Right. Okay.
Every basketball game that I caught, especially like when my oldest brother was playing.
For sure.
Energy. Loved it, 100%. Especially like when we played like Camden, Magnolia.
There we go. We go.
Junction, whenever we played them, just all those surrounding areas, it was
you.
Always good energy.
It was definitely that Camden El Dorado rivalry is definitely good.
That's a different type of rivalry.
I got you for sure. That's Cowboys 49ers on the basketball court for sure. So it's definitely a different type of energy.
That's Kimball and Carter around here.
Okay.
So is it anybody that you saw coming up, you was watching that you thought was gonna make it in some type of way, not because of talent, that it kind of got deterred or
with just like basketball?
Yeah, just basketball. I mean,
of course, Czar. Pretty much anybody, pretty much all the guys that I was playing with.
Okay.
I knew for a fact, if I felt like, if anybody could have, took that like next step, it would have been like him, Czar,
Gotcha.
Charles Manning.
Okay.
Ryu Eunice, he could have did a little something. He was a shooter.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Pretty much everybody
cool.
that was on that
cool.
team.
Right on.
But of course, I wouldn't say like stuff happens, but I think everybody just had like a different mindset coming out of high school. There was a lot of different things, and I'm pretty sure a lot of guys were dealing with. So it probably, readjusted their mindset with a lot of stuff.
Exactly.
That could be wrong, but it's just what I felt like I seen. But I had faith in all my guys that I played with in high school. It was just, a lot of stuff that kind of held guys back from being able to get to the position.
Understand.
Gotcha. That's what's up. And then, like I said, I'm playing sports. I'm 6'2". I ended up going to UCA to play football.
Right.
I was getting calls for football way before basketball was my love. But them football calls started to come in, and I'm like, yeah, if I ain't gonna get past 6'2", then it ain't looking good. So
yeah, I think that's the same thing that happened to my oldest brother. I think he played football all the way out through, I think his last year he played, not football, basketball.
Okay.
He played all the way throughout to kind of like his last year. I think he got an offer for football like that last year.
That's how it normally goes. If you're athletic and you got good size, 6'2" is a giant in football. But when it comes to the basketball court, it ain't what it is. But I got you. All right, we'll segue out of El Dorado. We'll get you to Arkansas now as we move through the timeline.
Got you.
We got you to Arkansas, 2 years there. You come out in 2019.
Yeah.
And my guy here, I know he got a great question that I actually want to ask, but I'm gonna let him ask it because it was a good question. So you do 2 years there, you were putting on for El Dorado, and you was doing it for Arkansas. I know a couple of top 10s end up on SportsCenter, as everybody know. If you've been back home, you know the top 10 with the windmill.
Yeah.
That was a nice one. That was a nice one. So you had a stellar career there. I want to know, was it, because even doing research, they talked about maybe you coming out the first year. What made you go back a second year, I should say?
Just thinking of my parents.
Okay.
Really. I still wanted to kind of be close to them.
Okay.
I had a feeling like wherever I was going to go, like my first year wasn't going to be too close to them, but I still ended up being far away from them in Chicago.
Gotcha. Yeah, I got you. Okay.
But my parents, they just told me kind of like, do what my heart wanted and how I was feeling about, the decision.
Right.
And like they had a big influence on it, and they don't even know.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it was just one of those where it's like they told me, I made the decision, and I went back for an extra year.
I got you. Would you have considered, with today's climate, I should say, NIL money, would it have kept you that longer than?
Yes. That's an easy yes. I was telling some of the guys on the team a couple of practices ago, I was like, man, look, how much money they making now? I would have stayed all 4 years.
Understandable, man. That's an environment.
Stayed all 4 years.
Gotcha. That's the environment that most people rave about, especially being on the hill. And then being an athlete on the hill, that's a different environment. And yeah. Okay, I got you. I'm cool with that. Okay. All right, so we got 2 years there. Then we got you shifting over to the league. Right before, and this is a question I'm gonna send my man. He had a great question that he wanted.
Well, I just, we all see pre-draft reports
Yeah.
And I was big on the draft when I was coming. I used to actually record the NBA drafts. I've been watching since like 91.
Okay.
Maverick fan. I got to throw that out there too. But so when you see that as an NBA player, I want to know how y'all feel when y'all see these pre-draft reports. It's kind of slighting you. And then you see things in there that may not be true. Does that motivate you? And do you run into those same guys that make those reports? And you
yeah, always. It's an everyday thing, you
Right.
know, because there's a lot of guys that are on that one team that interviews you throughout the pre-draft process.
Got you.
And they'll end up being on another team throughout just like your career. So I've seen a fair share of them. When it comes to just like the question about the slighted stuff, I tended to like overlook it for sure because I know for a fact some of them wanted a certain reaction out of me.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And like at a young age, I'm glad I understood that because, you know, I was somewhat of a hothead. I was quick tempered. You know, I see something like that, I get a little mad. I'm not gonna lie to you. But, you know, I had to really just kind of like think on like, what are they really trying to get out of me right here?
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Do you
It
keep
was
up
like
with those?
50-50, I would
I
say.
got you. I got you.
Okay.
Do you keep up with those guys that were drafted, or did you at some point keep up with those guys that were drafted at least in the first round?
My draft year?
Yeah. Like what, Jackson Hayes, I think it was.
Yeah. Majority of those guys, every time that I see them on the court or if I see them like around whenever I'm traveling and stuff, always a good conversation.
Gotcha.
You know, I try to, you know, be as cool as I can be when it comes to just like some of the fellow guys in the league because the way some guys act, I mean, I don't want to be labeled like that.
I got you. Understandable. And even with my knowledge, so whenever I was tuned into the TV when you got drafted back in 2019, and of course the whole city was basically speaking on and saw you being like super grateful for the opportunity to be selected in the NBA, second round pick. And I'm piggybacking off what Matt just said. When the grateful part, you know, you realize you're there, but do you find motivation in having to wait to the second round and looking at those people that are above you on that list in the first round, like you said, Jackson Hayes? Do you feel, hey man, I can run with these people? Is that something that was in the back of your mind when you finally got to camp or finally got to summer workouts right before?
Oh yeah, for sure.
To get you through.
Yeah, just throughout the whole process, of course, you know, I was told my latest was gonna be like first round 25.
Okay.
With the first agent that I was with. And it was gonna be to OKC.
Gotcha. Okay. That would have been nice.
Yeah, so that didn't happen.
Okay.
That's when I got a little discouraged. You know, I go talk to my agent. I'm like, okay, what's going on? What we need to do? How we need to do it? All that stuff. And honestly, when it got to that point, because of course I was just going down the line, just seeing guys go before me, I was just like, I just want to hear my name called.
Gotcha. Okay.
At this point, it don't even matter where. You know, it can be undrafted.
Right.
As long as I find some type of way to be able to get in there, I know I can just work my way up to where I am now. You know, because like I would say my work ethic through the roof. I don't really just like to sit down and just, you know, let stuff happen. I always want to put myself in a position to where I'm always ready. They say stay ready, don't get ready.
Gotcha.
For sure. Yeah, so throughout that whole process, it was a lot of motivation for sure.
Okay.
Especially like, you know, whenever it happened, got my name called, just went through just my first year. I think I took a lot of stuff for granted when it came to that situation that I was in Chicago. And a lot of stuff changed with me throughout just like that whole first year.
Gotcha.
There was a lot of stuff that helped me too, for sure.
Okay. Sound like you, from what you're describing, you went from a young man into adulthood within that year? Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what's up. And then the work ethic was out. Okay. You segue right where I want to go to, because we know you went to Chicago. You end up getting traded to Washington. At that time, I want to say Bradley Beal was still on the team when you got there?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you transitioned over to the Mavs. And I'm gonna pause right in that area to where I want to ask you, because like I said, they're all Mavs fans, and I'm a Daniel Gafford fan, so it really don't matter to me. But when you got that call to go from Washington to the Mavs, and then at that time, Washington was in a place where they were in the bottom of the Eastern Conference standings, and then you go to the Mavs, and At that time, they already had, I want to say they had Kyrie already when you got there. And the expectations are, hey, we're in the bottom of the Eastern Conference standings to, hey, we are running for a title. What were you doing when you got that call? What was your mindset? How did you feel about transitioning from the Washington Wizards to the Dallas Mavericks at that time?
Gotcha. So when I had got the call, I was actually heading to the facility. We had practice that day in Washington. We were about to go play Boston the next day.
Okay.
Already ready to go, unpacked everything. I get to the facility. That's when I got the call, like right when I got to the gate. I was like, oh, I think I know what this is. I pull in, I sit there, I'm having a conversation. Of course, Will Dawkins, he real down to earth. Really just understands like a lot of stuff when it comes to just, the position he's in, the GM position for sure. Man, he just laid it all out for me. He was just like, you've been doing real good with the team, with Washington. This is an opportunity for you to just go and just, be you.
Okay.
So since it was like my second time being traded, I kind of understood, the energy. Okay. But it did hurt a little bit. Because, I was in Washington for, 2.5 years?
Right.
And, I felt like I was really like building something, But when it comes to this business, they say it's a business and it's not too good to really just get comfortable anywhere if you don't really know. If you don't really know what's going to happen down the road.
Okay.
So that's kind of like the mindset that I had, Get on the phone with my wife, she's screaming in my ear, going crazy, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, it's just another opportunity for me. One door closed, another one open.
Okay.
So
the city welcomed you with open arms, and I know this because I was in Dallas at that time. Mm-hmm. And what's crazy is, and we look at, I'm on social media, I'm scrolling, even prior to, and I don't, like, so you started when you pulled in to the facility that day. I had saw maybe 2 or 3 weeks prior to the rumor report. Mm-hmm. And if you know El Dorado Facebook, oh man, they was on it 2 or 3 weeks before that. They was already saying, hurry up and trade him to the Mavs so we can make it to the games. Hurry up and get him to the Mavs so we can make it out and see him. So it was like, and like I said, we taking the basketball and the business side away. We speaking only for fans. It was like a good sign and a good thing for us. Yeah. When you were sent out here to the Mavs, it was like I was already living out here, but then just seeing how back home in the city was so happy to get you closer so they could start making the game. And I saw people just start making the trip out to Dallas, seeing them come out and check you out.
It was dope just to kind of like see how excited the city was whenever I got traded here. Because, now I'm close to home. Mm-hmm. They're able to come up here, catch any game they want, if we being honest.
Right.
It was good. I mean, it was, like you said, it was good for them, but it was great for me at the time.
Okay.
It was a real big change of speed. I had went from, just playing to now playing for something.
Right. So okay.
Mindset just really had to change then too. So I was like throughout just like the whole process of just like everything, like my career wise from El Dorado to now, it's just been like eye opener after eye opener after eye opener.
Gotcha.
So once I finally got here, like you said, they welcomed me with open arms, and just like the energy from the jump was great.
Okay.
Loved it.
Gotcha. All right. That leads me to where I want to go, and this is more of a on court but off the court type of question. Mm-hmm. And it's more so because I dibble and dabble in a lot of sneakers. I should say I'm a sneakerhead.
Right. Gotcha.
And so this past January, it was announced that you were. I don't know if I thought you were already with them, but it was announced where you were with Anta. Mm-hmm. And so I want to know the behind the scenes of that, like how. And I know because Kyrie is with Anta, he has his own PEs or personal editions. My question and where I'm going with that is, when you sign that deal, is that specifically through your relationship with Kyrie? Also, are you expected to wear the PEs that he has, or will you eventually also get your own PE as well?
When it came to being with Anta, so I was with Anta for 2 years when I was with Washington.
Okay, gotcha.
And I think the last year that I was the year that I got traded, I think that's when they kind of had like a redo, with the whole company and stuff, and then they brought Kyrie aboard.
Right.
And so, I was just going through, just trying to figure stuff out. I mean, if I was gonna get another shoe deal, I was grateful, but I really wasn't like in search for one.
Okay.
But then I got traded. You know, I was wearing Nikes. I went through like the rest of the year wearing, you know, KDs, all that stuff. Crazy color shoes. I'm a crazy color guy. So like anything that's like that'll pop on my feet, I needed it, you know?
Right. I got you. I'm looking at my son because he a crazy shoe colorful guy too.
So I think going down the road, we get done with the finals. But throughout just like the rest of the season, you know, I'm seeing Kai's answers. I'm like, wow, fire, you know?
Yeah.
Like I need a pair.
Gotcha. Okay.
But these Nikes nice too. So I had to figure it out. But I had told him, I was like, yeah, man, I was with him in Washington. I don't know what happened at the time. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it wasn't, you know, no bad blood in between us. I think it was just something that they had to kind of like reevaluate with a lot of stuff. They were kind of like doing like a rebranding, I think.
Okay.
Anta, yeah. So I tell Kai, I'm like, try to get me back on there, bro. I love to be just like a part of it. And Kai is real open about just like a lot of stuff. He was giving me ideas of shoes, this, that, and the third.
Gotcha.
I'm like, man, you know, I'm just all ears at this point.
For sure.
And yeah, when it comes to his shoes, I wear them all the time. But you know, you may see some landlords walking around here soon.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know when yet. But
that's exactly what I wanted to know, my man.
Yeah. I mean, love the shoes from Anta. Okay. Real comfortable. It's an easy company to work with, honestly.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, that got me where I want to go mentally. That's why I always want to know how the PEs worked.
Yeah.
If we would get some landlords and stuff like that. So no, that's dope, man.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. As we segue from the culture part of it, we got into last year. Like I said, you get here in Dallas, you guys make it to the NBA Finals in 2024. You guys go into 2025 with those same expectations. And then as we introduced the show and we came on the show, we were saying, hey, the 2025 season just concluded.
Yeah. 2025,
we got you with a career high in points. Also, which is ironic to me, and I noticed that the minutes you went from 25 minutes to 21 minutes, but the points went up. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you, how do you feel about, and you can also go in team-wise, give me a recap of the team's 2025 season, but also touch on your individual 2025 season.
When it comes to the team, I feel like everything we had, it was, for sure what we needed to get to where we went, like with the finals, for sure. Energy was good. Crowd was always loving it when we played home. Whenever we was on the road, we basically were having home games on the road because we was more Mavs fans in the gym than some of the teams that we were playing.
Oh, man.
It was just fun. We were just having fun with the game, and we just, we took that and we used it to put energy into everything that we did on the floor.
Okay.
And we just was out there just playing ball, doing the right things, and if we messed up, we picked each other up and we kept going. Individually, I was just in awe of just like everything that was happening throughout the process of me getting traded to being in the NBA Finals.
Gotcha.
Because the only time that I was in the playoffs was my first year with Washington.
Okay.
When Russ was there. So just thinking on that, I was like, man, the only time that I've actually had somewhat of just like an experience with the playoffs, that was my first year in Washington. And we lost to Philly, just the first round. So my second experience was going all the way to the finals. So, man.
Dope.
Like it was just like it was a rush throughout just like the whole time that we were playing. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, time is flying, but at the same time I cannot believe what's going on right now.
Gotcha.
Every day was a blessing for sure. I was grateful for every part of the experience. It was just something that for sure I used to just motivate me for just like the seasons to come.
Okay. How do you feel as far as and what I'm touching on, because you touched on 2024.
Oh, yeah.
So
I missed that question.
No, you good. So we ended, like I said, and that was big for the city. That was the first time, and like I said, us being from El Dorado, I was super proud to say I was from El Dorado. I was super proud to see you hop on the TNT set with Shaq and Charles and give shout out to Hagan Neal.
Yeah, that was dope. That was dope.
It was big for them for 3 or 4 days.
Man, that's all they was talking about. I was getting messages. Facebook notifications, everything.
Gotcha. So that portion of it, like I said, I'm super proud to even say I was associated, and I wouldn't even associate, but just to say, hey, I'm from El Dorado. Mm-hmm. We got a guy there. And then, like I said, we transitioned from ending that, and then the way that we come into 2025 as fans, we ready to see how it was going to rock out.
Yeah.
And we had expectations of, hey, we can get back. We're looking at the West again. Oklahoma City still was the top, but y'all had took Oklahoma City down. They didn't make the conference finals. And then seeing Ant and Cat get that trade and feel like the Timberwolves had kind of slided. And then just going through the season and watching how Joker was playing, but the Nuggets weren't doing so good.
Yeah.
But then watching the Mavs as a team for the 2025 season, like I said, we're watching you, and I'm even the last, and I'll say this on camera. Man, we were watching, and every time you touch the floor, energy, effort.
Yeah.
Team would go on a run. And like I said, we'll circle back to the original question, was career high in points with 12 points per game. You're averaging 6 boards. And then, like I said, we've seen a dip in minutes from last year where you go from 25 minutes to 21 minutes, but you're still putting up more numbers.
Right.
And like I said, I'm asking you to give me a recap of your 2025 season individually and how you felt about the overall season.
Oh, honestly, I feel like I took a big step just like in the player that I wanted to be.
Okay.
For sure. Of course, pre-injury, I was just having fun.
Gotcha.
And energy was there throughout just like that course of the time. I felt like that everything that I needed to be doing on the floor was what I was doing at the time. It was a lot of stuff that was going on throughout the team when it came to injuries. So it was pretty much just like the next man up mentality.
Okay.
You talk about the minutes. Minutes went up. Mindset was just like, go out, give it all you got until somebody comes up. And I know I was going to be right back in whenever that sub came.
Sure.
But yeah, just going through all just like the obstacles and adversity, I feel like the season for sure for me was one of the best of my career.
Okay.
I would say. Because like you said, no matter how many like minutes I was playing, the proof was in the pudding.
Okay. I can respect that.
I just went out there and I was, being myself. I really wasn't trying to focus on a lot of negativity. One of the team guys, team therapist, he gave me a book and he was talking about, it was one of the guys in the book, he was a sensei, he was saying like, he had asked his guy that he was training, he was like, what did you do good today? And the guy had said something about all the negative stuff that he had did throughout the day.
Okay.
So I was trying to implement that into what I was doing playing-wise. Not trying to focus on negatives, but just majority just like focus on what I did positive-wise and learning from that instead of just learning from just like the negative side of stuff. So like frustration, what got you frustrated, or just being in my own head. I tried to just kind of like push all of that out, just bring all positive energy towards me. And that just helped me throughout the season. And like I said, I think I for sure took like a major jump in a lot of things that I was doing on the floor.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Anything you want to follow up on that, my man?
Nah, just kind of what he said. I mean, I've seen the PER, and it's a double-double, 3 blocks. Does that, when it come down to contract time, is them the numbers you throw up at them, or they just base it off of the minute average?
I think that's what the agents do. Yeah.
Okay.
I try to be educated on everything. And I think you said PER?
Yeah.
Yeah, that has been thrown around a couple of times. And they say it's something that always gets brought to the table when it comes to that conversation.
Yeah, no doubt. It should, though.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll segue to my favorite part of the podcast.
Okay.
And it's been named more or less. Matt's last name is Moore. So we have a segment it's our quick hitter segment where I give him some topics. He tell me if he's messing with it on the more side or the less side. But since you're here, we rebranded this. And anytime you stop by, we're going to always rebrand this segment for you.
Okay.
So since you're the landlord, we rebranded it to be paid or eviction.
Oh, okay. I like that. That's fire.
If they paid it, you're messing with it.
Okay.
If they evicted, you're not messing with it on the left side. So first topic on this one, we are going to say that this era of basketball, the analytical era, the more spread out era, is the best era that you feel like of basketball versus the 90s era where it was more center oriented, back to the basket, post play.
Got you.
How do you feel about the era that you play in right now, I should say? Are you with it or are you against it versus the 90s era, I should say?
I'm evicted.
Okay.
For sure. You know,
Okay.
because I'm gonna give an explanation just because of the simple fact of just like the analytics side of it. We
Okay.
put too much numbers into the game.
Right.
You know, because in the 90s, which I'm for sure gonna put on the paid side, in the 90s, like it was more just about basketball. I feel like,
Gotcha.
you know, you really didn't pay attention to all like the stats or anything like that. Only stat that you really paid attention to was wins and losses.
Right.
Right.
Like now you pay attention to everything.
For sure. And
You know?
it gets technical.
So yeah, that's my paid is for sure 90s.
Okay.
I'm gonna evict the analytics and all that.
All right.
I got to get them up out of here. I don't like numbers like that.
Gotcha. Matt, you paid an eviction. This new open style of basketball, or you more with the 90s? Which one?
I came up in the 90s, so I'm gonna have to go with the 90s versus all of the. I'm just the gameplay, honestly. It's a lot of 3-point shots taken nowadays versus in the 90s. It was more of a in the paint type of game, and so I prefer the 90s.
Okay. I'm gonna evict this era of basketball as well, but not because of the way that you guys said. And I'll ask you. To me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. To me, I enjoyed the competition of the 90s.
Yeah.
I enjoyed not being when I lost a game or when they lost a game, people kind of went their own way and didn't have to go shake the other person's hand and show sportsmanship or do those jersey swaps.
Yes.
And when I lost games as a kid and even in college, it might take me a little minute to come out of that before I'm ready to talk to everybody and go shake their hand and stuff like that. So when I see it, when you guys, from a competition standpoint, it makes me think that the competition is diluted based off of how everybody's able to just go right into being friends as soon as that buzzer goes to zero.
Yeah, I get that.
And so that's why I'm going to say eviction on this era based off of the 90s, because I like the bump. I like the competition. And if you're competing with someone, even though we may be friends, I don't think I can just go automatically right to being your friend after I done took a blowout loss and things of that.
Yeah, you can text me after the game, facts. You know?
That's the NFL too.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's why I'm eviction. Okay. Segue into a second quick hit on the pay to eviction topics. We have, can you provide me with, and this is more of a round table, this ain't gonna pay to eviction on this one. This is more your top 5 players that you are familiar with, top 5 players out of Arkansas, basketball wise.
Ooh.
And you can go back into the 90s and people you done studied, people you done played with, people you know that might be still playing.
I say I know it's a lot of like.
So don't feel slighted, audience. Don't feel slighted.
Are we talking about just like from Arkansas?
From Arkansas.
From Arkansas. Okay, bet. From Arkansas. Top 5. Malik Monk.
Okay. Dog.
BP.
Okay.
Bobby Porter's dog.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Who else? It's a lot.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Don't be afraid to throw yourself in there.
Nah, man, I ain't gonna do that. But the people that will say no, y'all know. Oh, dang. Who else?
And you can narrow it down. You can even narrow it down to maybe you're even top 5 from U of A.
I might throw some in there from the U of A for sure. Okay. He old cat Sidney Moncrief.
Okay.
Loved his game.
Gotcha.
My last 2, man, for sure. It's my guys from my high school. Okay. You know, Zaw.
Okay.
Dog.
I mess with it. I like Zaw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who else? I forgot his name. What was? Dang, I can't remember his name. Sanchez. You remember Sanchez?
Oh, yeah. Sanchez, my dog. Shout out Sanchez, man. I'm going to have to tag him in this for sure.
Sanchez,
okay. Everybody. Okay, I got you. I'm gonna definitely pull this clip out. I'm going to send it to him for sure.
Yes, sir. That's my guy, man.
That's my guy.
So, of course, like, I think around my brother's time when he was in high school and stuff, I think that was around the same time.
He a little later because I'm in
little
between.
later?
I'm in between your brother and Sanchez.
Okay.
Yeah. I give it
So I was always
6 or 7 year span.
I was always around Sanchez, D-Rome, all those guys playing basketball behind Chickadilly.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's like all those guys, like that's nitty gritty.
Gotcha.
For sure. So that's the only reason. That's the only reason I got him on the list, man. He's a dog.
I mess with him. That's one that most people won't know, but I can relate to you on that one. Man, we'll circle to you. Give me top 5 Arkansas players, and you can either go from the state or you can keep it.
All right, I'm gonna need y'all help on this one. Make sure I ain't naming nobody that didn't play or ain't from Arkansas.
Okay.
I'm going with Big Dan for sure. I know I'm got that one going down. Right. Joe Johnson.
Gotcha. Okay.
Corliss.
Okay.
Was it Scotty Thurman?
Yep.
Yup.
And Ronnie Brewer.
Okay.
Ooh, okay. I like that list.
Gotcha. I like your list. I give you 4 out of the 5, and me and him done talked. Ronnie Brewer wasn't in my top 5. I'm sorry, guys. He wasn't in my top 5. I like his work. He's still there right now on the coaching staff, and you can catch him on the sideline. He just wasn't in my top 5. Yeah. So no slight to Ronnie, just not in my personal 5. And what I'm gonna do, since you did a mixture of El Dorado, Arkansas, you did most of U of A. I'm gonna give you top 5 from Arkansas then all time. You gotta start out with Scottie Pippen.
Okay.
You throw in and my all-time favorite Razorback, you can throw in Corliss Williamson.
Okay.
Because he's a 5-time champion, he's out of Little Rock, you got to throw in Derek Fisher. There ain't nobody else from Arkansas.
See, it's crazy because like it be like people like Derek. I be forgetting he from Arkansas.
For sure, out of Little Rock. Yeah, out of Little Rock. And then throw Dan in there from my hometown. So that's 4. And then if you give me a 5th one, I got a sneaky. Because you named Joe Johnson, I won't put him on my list. But if I had to, I would definitely throw Joe Johnson on there. I got a sneaky pick from the Nolan Richardson era, on his late back end era, and I say this because I had his jersey as a kid. I followed him. This guy by the name of Kareem Reed.
Yup.
He was the point guard point guard for Nolan, and he was the reason why I started kind of picking up on the back end of them. And the crazy part is I met Kareem out here at a 24 Fitness one time just balling, and this might have been 2014, 2015, and he was running the gym at that time. I'm like, oh, yeah. And he's small, like he's like 6 foot. Yeah, he was still dunking. Yeah, right? For sure, he was still doing his thing. So. I'll throw him in there. So Kareem Reed, and then the other 4 that I named, and like I said, I left Joe Johnson off on purpose, mainly because Matt had named him on his top 5. So that is one where I do. So, last paid or eviction. This is a hometown question. This is one that's going touch some nerves more. This will get you good conversation.
They get serious.
So this is for all my people back home. This is Daniel's pick, y'all. We are asking him. Is the Chickadilly on the west better than the Chickadilly on the east? And we saying that because both of us are from the west side of El Dorado. Yeah. However, it's a good debate, and then we'll go, and I'll give you some.
So we talking about the Chickadilly that was in the east.
Yeah, now it's Southern Classic.
Classic,
yeah,
right.
And they done rebranded and reopened it, but we can go back to before they shut it down.
Yeah.
And building a highway to the old where it was Southern Classic. But if you know from El Dorado, before it was named Southern Classic, it was named Chickadilly too. You had both of them, a Chickadilly West and a Chickadilly East.
Yes, sir.
So you tell me.
But it still wasn't the best though. The one on the west side, the best side. Come on, man. Stop playing.
Oh, okay. I can't
if you
wait.
Ain't serving my food with attitude, I don't want it. You know.
I can't wait. I can't wait to
There's a lot of people that's gonna
this out. There's a lot. The whole town is about to disagree with you.
But I promise you, all they got to do is think back. When was the last time you went to Chickadilly and you didn't get attitude? And remember if that food was good or not.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, now they're done trying to transition. I'm gonna go ahead and speak from my side. Even though I grew up on First Street, so that's right there where the park at.
Yup.
And I would just walk down to the park behind the west side of Chickadilly.
Yeah.
However, when we went to go get chicken as a kid, even though the west was only 2 minutes away, we went to the east side to get our chicken.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The east side, like, I don't know. If they had like a battle of like who had the worst attitudes in the spot, The East Side will win.
They was gonna win regardless, man.
West Side, you get some attitude, but like East Side, it's like they come up to the window.
They don't say nothing. They just open the window.
Come up to the window, hold the paper out, start writing stuff down.
Right.
You know what you need to do.
And they just open the door. You either better come on with that order, or you gonna.
You ain't pull up here for nothing.
Yeah,
get talking.
For sure.
You know, you ask them how they doing, they look at you. Get on back, taking the order.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I get it, man. You know, chicken better with attitude though.
I got you.
No doubt.
Okay. So yeah, everybody back home, when we pull this out and you guys said that it's Daniel's preference on the chicken. He said he's rocking with the West Side Chicken Deli. And right now, everybody is rocking with the West Side because they rebranded Southern Classic. It's new. I don't know if they even got the seasoning on the pans like they used to over there, but the West Side is considered better right now.
I don't know.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. All right. Good deal. So now that was our last question as far as our quick hitters and stuff. So before we wrap this episode up, I want to ask you: is there any projects that you'll be working on in the summer? Your personal projects, whether it's back home in El Dorado or out here in Dallas, during the off season, I should say. Anything you want to promote on your own brand?
Really, when it comes to any projects that I'm thinking of right now, no.
Okay.
Because last couple of years I've been just like working.
Okay.
So I'm taking this off season off.
Gotcha.
Sure.
Okay.
You know, when it comes to just like any like extracurricular stuff that I could possibly do in the community, I'm gonna try to save that for majority of the season next year.
Okay.
You know, just because it's just like I need a break.
Gotcha. Okay.
Especially coming off, you know, the injury this year, trying to get back before the end of the season. It was just a lot, and I'm trying to renovate my crib right now.
Okay.
So
understandable.
Dealing with a lot. But other than that, if there's like, you know, any project that I can think of, you know, I do a lot of give backs. You know, when it comes to some stuff that I want to try to do back in my hometown, I want to try to rebrand the skating rink, rebrand the bowling alley.
Okay.
You know, try to get with the people that's doing like the little arcade thing that's like on the over there by Applebee's.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Trying to do that and bring that movie theater back that was on the Avenue too.
That was a hard. I don't know, man.
That was a slept-on movie.
That's a slept-on movie.
You know?
A lot of stuff used to go down there.
Yeah. So it's just like a bunch of ideas that I have. Mainly right now, the skating rink and the bowling alley.
Okay.
Those are the two things that I really want to kind of bring back because I mean, you know,
that's what you grew up on.
Yeah, facts. You know, being in Hagen Hill, skating rink was right down the street from my house.
Most definitely.
So the weekend, you know, you're going to have a blast at the skating rink. You know, you might see somebody, you know, get a whooping by their mom, get all the way back to Hagen Hill, fights, all that stuff.
For sure.
But at the same time, it was a great time. Every time that I went, I had a blast. Okay. So I just want to kind of like bring that vibe back to the city. Give it back to the kids. You know, so whenever it comes to that, of course, like those two things, I've been talking with my guy, Brandon Gray.
Okay.
Talking about just like we've been talking about like a Big Brother program.
For sure.
Yeah, hit me up about it, gave me some ideas. I haven't got back to him yet, but that's one of the things. That's another one of the things that I want to add to the list. Big Brother program, something just to kind of like, you know, bring the community back together like how it used to be.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, after I think like a certain amount of kids like graduate, I think that's when everybody kind of like dispersed. You know, either moving away from El Dorado or just in general, people just like separating. You know, the energy. You know. It really hasn't been the same ever since every time that I go down there. Okay. It just, you know, feels a little weird.
Gotcha.
So I'm just trying to, you know, see if I can do my part to just be able to kind of like revive the city.
Gotcha. Okay.
Main thing for sure. And I know they trying to build. I know they done built that big old like highway.
Yeah, they got it through, and make it look like a ghost town based off of because they had to set the businesses back that was too close to the street.
Yeah,
so a lot of those businesses had to relocate or be tore down. So I'm looking forward to when they finish it.
Yeah.
Right there on Hillsborough, they also have the community college where they building the baseball stadium where Days Inn used to be.
They building a baseball stadium?
Man, it's a baseball stadium and dorms for the community college down.
Oh, facts. I heard about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's what's up.
Gotcha.
That is what's up. Yeah, but those are kind of like some of the projects that I've just been brainstorming on. I haven't really just kind of like tried to put anything in play just yet because I'm still wet behind the ears. I'm trying to get educated with a lot of stuff, trying to find the right people to, you know, get acclimated with, just so we can just sit down and have a conversation about it. It ain't got to be something that happens just like that, you know. Success takes time for sure.
Gotcha. Okay.
Set them out for them.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I can appreciate that. And like I said, man, we concluded the 2025 season. Man, we can't wait till you guys get back and start over on the 2026 season. I hope we make the playoffs out of the city, which brings a lot of joy for Mavs fans when you guys touching that playoffs and do things. So I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Matt, you got anything you want to say as we conclude this episode, my man?
Man, just thank you. You know, more than anything, thank you, man, for joining us. You know, this ain't ESPN, so you know nothing. Like you know, you came for that reason, so it was all love, man. I appreciate that.
Nah, man, I enjoyed this. 100%.
Good. Well, hopefully we can get you back. You know, at some point. You know, and we gain audience that's gonna be able to see and enjoy your interview. So I thank you, man. Nothing else. That's all I got, Willie.
Okay. Well, this is a special episode again. We first time live in the studio, first time having a guest. If you've been rocking with us, please hit the like and subscribe button to Real Game Podcast or Real Game Talk Podcast on Spotify as well as YouTube. We'll go ahead and conclude this one. Again, we had our guest, Mavs center, Dallas Gafford, and everybody that's been watching. We salute you guys. Appreciate it. See you next time. Bye.